Brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie and Lekter. Mornings at the cabin.
Wheeler, Ollie and Lekter, it says. Scratch two of those names. Morning, everybody. 1 year and 1 day old. And that means we went out last night and had a little celebration of our first birthday here at Cabin Radio. And one of us has resurfaced the following morning, feeling bright and gay and happy and ready to face a new day. Everybody else is not quite here yet. I think Mr. Wheeler's sleeping in this morning, just resting that tired head. Lekter will be along in a little while, I'm sure. I had a lovely sleep. Because I won a dream. There I was. I'd been arrested for something in the dream. You know me, criminal mind that I am. I can't remember what I've been arrested for, and that turned out to be the brilliant key to the dream. Because I managed to get away from the police initially, and then they caught up with me. Drat. And as I was opposite them, contemplating the fact that I was about to be locked away for a very long time, it occurred to me that A, this was a dream, and B, I couldn't remember what I'd been arrested for. And if I can't remember what I've been arrested for, then the police sure as heck can't remember what I've been arrested for, because they're relying on my memory, because this is a dream. And I called them out on that. This is a very Ollie kind of dream. I called them out on that, and they had to admit they couldn't remember what they were arresting me for. And so I was free to wake up. So I did. And that was my night. Wasn't that a riveting story?
Mornings at the cabin, the podcast.
Wednesday morning, minus 20 outside in Yellowknife, and it is Ollie and Lekter in the building. Morning.
I felt like it was oddly appropriate on the day after the first anniversary party that you kind of be in the morning. Like, well, not sure about this smoldering pile of remains around me, but here I am.
Well, you know,
happy first birthday, Cabin Radio.
I may have alluded to that in the intro to the show. I may have noted that it is, of course, the morning after the night before.
Yes,
and yes, the seat appeared to be vacant, so I thought I would sit in it and host the morning show. So good morning, everybody.
See if anyone else happened to emerge.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to say dumpster fire, but. But, of course, if we were talking about dumpster fires, it would be more appropriate to talk about the highway washrooms in this territory.
Apparently.
If you go on the website, now, initially, a photo emerged on Facebook a few days ago showing a washroom on the highway just over the border between Alberta and the NWT.
Okay.
And I'll try and describe this photo for you. It shows a toilet with a mountain of toilet paper in it. Almost like over the top, spewing out, and there are just like shades of brown, and like I don't want to go any further than that, but just there is the sort of the hint of struggle about this toilet.
Okay,
a suggestion that all has not been well for a number of individuals, and so this did the rounds on Facebook to the point where it was actually brought up in the legislature yesterday by the MLA for Hay River North, who's R.J. Simpson.
Okay,
who in a glorious 6-minute question and answer session pressed the tourism minister on what could be done about this quite horrible introduction to the Northwest Territories for anybody caught short on the border. And we learned some interesting things. We learned, for example, that in the summer the highway washrooms get a look in every day from a contracted cleaner.
Okay.
In the winter, it's once a month.
Oh.
So in the winter months, we only have enough money for the cleaners to pop their heads in once a month. And I think if you're the cleaner popping your head into that particular washroom, you'd probably just pretend you saw nothing and carry on with your day.
Nothing to do with me.
I always think that as a human race, we seem to just assume that cleaners have some kind of like robotic fortitude that we do not possess as ordinary mortals. The number of times even I have looked at situations in like a highway washroom or, a highway service station, something like that, and you look at, oh man, that looks like a mess. Hope the cleaners get to that soon. Why do I think they're going to be any more sort of equipped gastronomically to be able to contain themselves than I am?
Well, we have a bit of a micro version of that here with AJ.
We do. We assume that AJ will have the fortitude to brave situations that we are just very happy to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely a bit of a stretch to compare our situation to, as you aptly apparently described on the website, a giant pile of nope. I don't believe we've got to that point yet in Cabin Radio's existence that there's been a giant pile of nope in the office. But there have certainly been clusters of nope.
There
Not
is
that kind of nope, but,
No.
you know.
clusters of, a slightly more dignified nope.
Clusters of
But yeah, nope nonetheless. Yeah, I agree. Now, of course, there is a puppy joining us occasionally starting next week.
All right.
Now,
Is this the first mention, the first public
This
mention?
is the first public mention of the puppy.
Okay.
The puppy is going through a slight identity crisis at the moment.
Uh-oh.
In as much as, so this is Sarah Price's puppy. So
Yes.
Sarah Price, Fort Smith reporter, relocating to Yellowknife, and in a last angelic act as a savior in Fort Smith, has grabbed a puppy from the local animal shelter, and that puppy is now hers.
You don't leave Fort Smith without your complimentary puppy, right?
No, right? And take a puppy on the way out.
All right. Well, if you're leaving, here you go. Take a puppy.
Be a marvelous marketing campaign. Yes, the washrooms may have been terrible, but look, here's a puppy. Thanks for coming. That's how we solve that whole problem.
There we go.
Anyway, the issue is that there may be some more small piles of nope.
Yes.
In the office over the next few weeks, but there'll also be a tiny bundle of joy. And the issue we have with the puppy is the puppy started off being named Lucy.
Okay.
As a shortening of Muffaloose, which is the Fort Smith mascot. The
Okay.
fictitious Muffaloose, which is a combination of a moose and a wood buffalo. Okay. So Muffaloose was going to be the puppy's full name, which was then shortened to Lucy.
Right.
But then there's been a little identity crisis, and now the puppy is probably going to be called Penny.
Oh.
For reasons, I think Sarah's sister had an ornamental golden retriever at the age of 6 that was called Penny. I think that is the slightly tenuous link.
An ornamental.
Like an actual, like a tiny, like
a Christmas ornament?
Figure of a golden retriever. Yeah, something like that. My knowledge of the ornamental golden retriever is passing at best. So that is the extent of what I know about the puppy and its name.
Okay.
But the puppy, when it arrives next week, is likely to be called Penny, but I wouldn't take that for a fact.
We should start placing Vegas odds.
We should. Or we should just open it up as a contest.
Yeah.
Puppy McPuppy Face. Ugh. Or Bob.
Yeah, you know where that's going to go.
Yeah, the two suggestions the Northwest Territories has. Something McSomething Face or Bob.
Fuzzy McFuzzbutt.
Great. Thanks, everybody. So yeah, new puppy coming to Cabin Radio is the upshot of that 6-minute chat about dirty highway washrooms.
Lovely.
Yeah. See, all things end well here on Cabin Radio.
A morning show without a podcast is like a poorly crafted simile. It just doesn't make sense. This is the Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Skills Canada are good friends. We have a long-running association with them in terms of head-to-head contests.
Yes.
Most famously, I think we had the hairdressing contest, where I still find it hard to imagine that we actually found 2 willing human volunteers with a pulse
That was impressive.
who were prepared
Yeah.
to sit down and let us have at her. Now,
Hack away.
yeah, and hack we did. I spent 5 minutes watching Steve Payne do all of that and show us exactly how to do it, and then I got given a comb and a pair of scissors and just looked at him and like I don't. None of my hands know what moves to make at this point.
Yeah,
and it was just it's a miracle that anyone escaped alive. And so now the next one, filming later this month, is going to be a baking contest.
Okay.
Now this excites me. Obviously cooking shows and cooking reality shows are a thing, right? And people enjoy those.
Immensely popular too.
Immensely popular. There's one in the UK that I think is kind of over in North America as well now, called the Great British Bake Off.
I thought you were going to say the Iron Chef. Like, Ollie, come on.
Iron Chef isn't a thing in England, so I think
really?
it's only in North America.
Oh, okay.
There is no Iron Chef in the UK, but there is the Great British Bake Off, which is this wonderful cooking reality show where they basically have this massive, great big marquee, giant tent that gets put up, and it's like the tent in which all the action happens on the grounds of some stately home somewhere. It all looks very British and prim.
Of course,
there's bunting up, there's sort of nice little red, green, blue triangles all up in the air. It's lovely. So it's set in this very sort of traditional British setting. They find 10, 15 random British individuals who just feel like they can bake quite well, and then we proceed to get to know everybody over the course of a few months, and they gradually whittle them down until somebody wins the baking contest. And it's very... It's very healthy television in as much as there is no sort of artificial dialing up of people's personalities. No one is encouraged to fight someone else or start pulling their hair out for good television.
It's about the baking.
And the baking does that for you because it's so blooming stressful and so much goes wrong that all the drama of the show is in the baking. And most of the time, it's just seeing people's faces as they're peering into an oven and losing the will to live. And you just see their soul quietly die as they realize they're on national television and their flan is not going to make it. Yeah, and that this beautiful pudding that they were trying to create is dying on the inside, quite literally. It's wonderful.
How does that pass for prime entertainment, though, when you don't have Gordon Ramsay screaming in their ear that they're an idiot and they're worthless?
Oh, you just have the host.
That's enough.
The host of the show are just basically sitting down next to them with an arm around them, being, "It's going to be okay.
Oh,
it's going to be all right.
That's
nice.
Look,
it's rising a little bit." And just soft, salty tears.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's because you feel like the whole point of the show is that you feel quite intimately wedded to these people.
Yeah.
In terms of, we've all been there.
Right.
We've all had some kind of cooking experience.
Yeah.
Where you were fairly sure something was going to be great, and then you watch it and you carry on watching it. You're like, no, it's not doing that thing that I was pretty sure it was going to do. Expected, like, children, family, other half.
Yeah.
First date, whatever you've gone for, sitting in the other side of the room, and you're like, no, this is
Personally, I am not a super experienced baker or cooker, for that matter. There's a couple things that I am confident making, and I think that's like 90% of it is confidence with like everything in life, basically. But and cooking and baking is no different. If you have some confidence, generally you're going to figure things out.
Yeah.
But the thing about baking, and I've actually been remarkably successful in things that I've baked in the past. They've generally turned out the way that I've expected them to. Or even better sometimes, which is always nice.
This is the confident talk of a man who knows they will not be in the head-to-head baking contest.
Yes, absolutely. The man behind the camera.
Yes.
He's got nothing to worry about. But the interesting thing is that cooking is kind of like, it's more of an art, and baking is like more of a science. You got these very exact portions of different ingredients that you have to put in. And if you don't follow the recipe, your thing is only going to rise a little bit. It's
forget
it. A disaster. Just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, throw it in a highway washer.
And I feel like that's kind of what I like about baking more than cooking, is that I need order. I can't just be like, we'll throw a bit of this in. I feel like it needs a bit of this and maybe a dash of that. No, I can't do that. If I start just ad-libbing and throwing stuff in, it's going to be a disaster. But if I have a recipe in front of me and it's like exactly this amount, no more, no less, I'm like, okay, that I can do.
I have one baking achievement to my name.
Okay.
6 years ago, it was my birthday, and the person baking my birthday cake noped out of it halfway through and rage quit the process of baking this cake.
What?
And I will name no names, but they got very frustrated with the cake.
Oh no!
And just abandoned it and said, "Can't do this," and just left the building, and left me sans cake with like a party coming up in several hours' time.
Oh,
and
no.
I had to start from scratch and figure out how to bake a cake. I just opened
for your own birthday.
Yeah, and so I opened up Google like cake bake and just pulled up like a Victoria sponge or something and just figured it out and managed to make a 2-layer sponge cake that was actually really good.
Is that what they were trying to make?
I can't remember. I think so, probably. Yeah, it was something pretty simple. It was by no means a complex cake.
Okay.
But just like, all right, well, this is going to have to happen. So I
rolled up your sleeves?
Yeah, rolled up my sleeves and I just went to it. I had never baked a cake before in my life, and it actually turned out really, really well. I was the proudest man. I was like, would you like another slice of this wonderful birthday cake? Sort of slightly overbearing all evening about the cake. Have you tried more cake? More cake, look, more cake. I made this cake. Cake me. Had a slice of my soul.
So 90% confidence, 10% desperation and necessity.
Yeah, I have 85% confidence, 10% desperation, 5% pure blind luck. Yeah, and we got through it.
Wow.
And that's what I'll be relying on later this month. So we have a Skills Canada head-to-head baking contest. Wheeler versus Ollie coming up. I think we're filming it next week sometime.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to see it later on this month.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast, where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
I was in a news conference yesterday in which one of the speakers announced that they divide their time between California and the Northwest Territories. And someone next to them said, those are both such great places. And I thought, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just thought in the Venn diagram of life, the number of people who find both California and the NWT equally great must be quite small.
Probably. I would imagine the Venn diagram of, just people who have experienced both.
Right, it's relatively small.
Relatively
I can think
small.
of a few off the top of my head, but at the same time, I was like, well, those are very different places.
I mean, we'll certainly go there, but will they necessarily come here?
How many people from California have thought to themselves, you know where else is great?
Canada's Northwest Territories.
And you know what I particularly love about the Northwest? The washrooms.
Yeah,
You get over the Alberta border, and they're just so pristine.
love the road trip.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Birthdays are, of course, times of celebration, and we had a wonderful time yesterday, but some people insist on choosing a happy, joyous occasion to break the worst news. You know that kind of person. People who
Yeah.
turn up to parties, and they're just a bit of a, they want to bring everybody down. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, Brandon Ma. Brandon, who you will know, of course, is the host of Cabin Country.
Yes.
Yesterday evening at our little celebration, had to break the terrible, terrible news to us. He's leaving.
Brandon
Brandon is leaving town. And this causes me great consternation. Because, of course, Cabin Country is a wonderful, wonderful thing. He has done great things with that show. I love listening to Cabin Country. Tuesdays at 8 and repeated Saturdays at 5. If you've not had a chance to listen to it before, it is, honestly, speaking as someone who has limited knowledge of country, and that's for a reason, because often I've thought, don't want to listen to that nonsense. Two worst types of music out there, country and western. And so Brandon re-educated me.
Yeah.
He brought me back from that ignorant precipice and played such wonderful stuff. And I've really enjoyed listening to his show. So naturally, I was heartbroken to hear that we've only got him till the end of the month. And I'm frantically working on negotiations to maybe keep him on a little bit longer than that. But I think it's very important that we plan for the future. We're a forward-thinking radio station, as you know, Lekter. We as management goes, we are A grade. We never drop a ball here at Cabin Radio.
No, all the balls currently being juggled.
Yep, those balls
In perfect order.
are in the air and lofty.
That's right.
So with our lofty balls in place, I feel that it's important that we plan. We have a succession plan.
Yes.
For Brandon, should the eventuality arise that we're not able to keep him on for any longer, and we only got until the end of March, we need to do something about that. Now, I've been thinking, do we need to hold some kind of Cabin Country idol?
I'm thinking, now I don't know if Brandon obviously has talked to you about this. I just kind of caught it, like, in the midst of yesterday, that, he was no longer going to be with us. Where's he going, by the way? Back home? Or?
Going back home.
Back home.
Back home to Ontario. He's got some work at TV.
TV?
It's
not the future, Brandon.
Sell out.
God. Anyway.
He said something about Netflix.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you're probably on a good path there. I don't know if he himself had any kind of succession plan, if he had a replacement host in mind. Obviously, he's built a bit of a Cabin Country Army listenership by now.
He has. Now, I didn't hear any names immediately. I think it's an open field.
Okay.
And I would encourage you, if you're listening right now and you're thinking to yourself, I could be the chosen one, the host of Cabin Country, you should get in touch. You should definitely get in touch.
Yeah.
And I think we should have a little audition session where you each have to sound as much like Brandon as possible. No, I don't know. We'll come up with something. But we need to ensure that show continues. That show is a wonderful little slice.
Could have different categories, like let's test the twang in your voice.
That was some good twang. Twang.
Cabin Country.
The twang test. Yes, I like having that. There's also a sort of, and this is vital to Cabin Country, is that the sheer laid back voice that Brandon brings to that show, where Brandon sounds like he's in a hammock at all times.
It does. Really does.
Yeah, and that's what I'll miss the most is listening to someone broadcast as though swaying gently between palm trees while narrating what we're about to listen to next.
So relaxing.
Every time you listen to that show, I'm just like, I thought I had cares in the world. And then
Brandon just made them melt all away.
Brandon Marr and Cabin Country came on my radio, and yep, they just disappeared like an iceberg in the 21st century.
It's also nice when you're listening to a country music show, and like you say, you think you have cares in the world, and then you listen to any country song. Basically, you're like, my cares don't equal this person's problems.
No,
that's fine
because their truck's broken down, their girlfriend's left them, and their dog ran away.
Possibly dead.
Possibly dead. Country music.
Depends on how sad the song is.
But then Brandon comes on afterwards, and it's okay again.
Yeah.
And that's his special skill.
It is.
And we're going to
miss that. If you can do that,
yep.
Get in touch.
Yep. If you have a track record of making other people feel okay about themselves, you could host a country music show.
Want the meat and potatoes of the morning show with none of the filler? You've got it with the Mornings at the Cabin podcast. That's a strange breakfast, though.
As a proud gold sponsor of Snow King Winter Festival this year, it behoves us to occasionally check in and see what's going on down there. Now, tomorrow night, there is a dinner party going on at the Snow Castle with the mysterious title, #86YKEats. One of the people behind that is Jared Bihun, who is in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for coming in. And tell us a little bit more about this dinner party tomorrow night, 7 till 9:30. What's going on?
So it started off as an idea to just do kind of a creative pop-up dinner in Yellowknife. It's something that's not seen very much up here. So Chef Nikki and myself, we've been friends for a while, and we've ended up in Yellowknife a few times together. So we started playing with the idea of doing a hike-in dinner. And that just didn't happen in the summer. So then we were thinking about the Snow Castle and how it's a perfect introduction for what we want to do. And slowly it built into this kind of idea and mantra of we want to create a new food scene in Yellowknife and kind of try and use local products as much as possible, whether that's artists, performers, local talent, as in the chefs from around the area, and of course the food products. So Fish on the Bay we're very much engulfed with. We use a lot of her products. And what we want to do is essentially create a collaborative of all those different talents and start throwing kind of dinner parties and these wild events, such as a dinner in a snow castle where you might not usually think you're going to get a hot plated meal.
So this is the first one.
This is the first one. This is kind of the first go, and then hopefully there will be many more.
So how are you going to do a hot plated meal inside the Snow Castle? I mean, I got so many questions about the hike-in dinner. I'm going to come back to that.
Yeah.
But the Snow Castle, that seems tough enough. How's it going to work?
So the logistics of it are crazy. We're basically setting up a kitchen right up on stage. So it's adding to that kind of the theater bit. So it's an open kitchen. You'll be able to see the chefs cooking and working. We're going to be serving things extremely hot. And the second it hits the table, we're basically going to say, go, you got to eat it now. Don't wait. Don't be polite. Get in there, because 3 minutes later it's going to be cold.
Everybody, we are sitting in a freezer. Please eat the food now.
Basically, yes. We're going to have like a couple cold dishes, but most of them are hot, so the logistics of it are a little crazy. We've been wrapping our minds around for the past 3 months of how to actually do it.
Okay, how many people are you hoping to serve?
We sold tickets for 40 people, and we got about 41 coming. So we added an extra seat just to accommodate.
So you sold out?
Yeah, we sold out in actually about 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Holy.
Yeah, it was really popular. We got a little bit more traction than we thought we would. A couple of our friends asked us to just come and cook at their house for a dinner party, not knowing that we were obviously going to go above and beyond and just go crazy. So we did that, and then they asked us to do another one. So we did that, and that's kind of where it started. And now we're looking into doing it more on the kind of the proper side, the more legitimate side of things.
Okay, so talk me through the menu, because I'd like to torment people who now know that they can't possibly attend this thing. Let's give people a flavor of what they could have had if they'd been sharp enough on the tickets.
Well, we don't disclose the entire menu. Part of it is...
Oh, it's a mystery menu?
It's a mystery menu, yes. It's fish heavy because we are associated very heavily with Fish on the Bay.
Okay.
We're quite good friends with Steph, so we get kind of a good deal, and we help her utilize some of her wasted products. So going into that, Coney has this beautiful little chunk of meat right on the belly. But if you were to just cook it from raw, it gets kind of... Think of it like the gristle of the fish.
Delightful, yep.
Yeah. It's not the best texture, but the flavor is phenomenal. So what Chef Nikki figured out is that it's very similar to pork belly in the way if you cure it with 30% sugar, 70% salt for about 18 hours, you get this really unique texture change. It plays really well with the fat. And then when you sear it, you get this beautiful kind of roasted crunch to one side and then just this fatty, flavorful goodness all the way through. So that's part of what we do. And although I did want to keep this part a bit of a secret, but we're doing this really unique kind of style of plating the sauce for it. We're doing a yolk sauce composed with also local caviar. So Nikki also found some fish that had the egg sacs in them, and she actually made her own caviar by brining it and then salting it. So we've infused that with a yolk sauce, and then we're actually coating it in a gel that will suspend it in a sphere. So when you cut into it, it then cascades over your dish. And that's kind of our big showpiece dish.
So Lekter, you remember earlier when I was so proud that I had once baked one cake?
Yes.
Yeah. Just crawling back into my culinary hole a little right now.
Yeah. I don't think it was quite as painstaking as what that just sounded like.
Homemade caviar that we're putting into a yolk sauce. That's a thing.
That is a thing. Yeah.
That's a thing. So okay, so this is happening tomorrow, but you're making it sound like, first of all, like what? Where's the hashtag 86 coming from?
So the hashtag 86, like I started to mention, it came from an idea about doing multiple pop-ups, and hopefully this is the first of many.
Of 86?
No. So 86 is actually a play on words. There's a lot of people in town that use the hashtag YK Eats to kind of showcase what they make at home and their food and stuff. Right. So we kind of took that idea and added 86 to it simply because in our industry, 86 is kind of a code word for when you're out of something, when you're not serving it, or say it's not kind of up to par. You say 86 the duck, and therefore you're not selling that anymore. So it's kind of a shot at Yellowknife food because we want to try and like do something different and innovative and creative and really encompass kind of northern cuisine, local products. Along with the 86 banner, we do also want to bring in kind of a collaborative feel to it of local chefs. So eventually we would love to do some collaborations with other chefs in town. And we also want to incorporate artists, performers, and of course local businesses and products. And kind of create not just a dining experience where it's based on consumption of food, but we want people to think about what they're eating and why they're eating it and what it truly is. So the coney belly dish that I talked about is kind of like our showpiece for that because it's two very much wasted products in the north, but they can be utilized in such a unique way if you know how and if you really want to put in the effort, because it is a lot of effort, but we love what we do, so it doesn't feel like work for us.
So, social experiment type question. If Ollie or I were to walk into a kitchen of a restaurant and yell, "Code 86, Code 86," would all hell just break loose?
No, they probably just look at you weird because you kind of like,
what are you doing?
It's not like in a hospital where you hear code blue. It's not like that.
It's not quite that dire.
It's not.
People arrive to defibrillate the duck.
Yeah, no, not quite.
Okay, good to know. Won't try it.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to know. You mentioned the hike-in version of this that you were initially planning.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lot of effort. From my point of view, like when I go out to eat, like someone tells me, "Oh, yeah, it's just a 4-kilometer hike down there." You're like, "Oh, came to add calories. I want to take them away." But I'm more interested in how do you do it? Because if you're cooking, how are you doing a hike-in dinner? Are you hiking all the paraphernalia and all the equipment in first?
Yep. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
We're overly ambitious for the most part. No, we talked about the logistics for that a little bit. Basically, we would just go on a camping trip and just lug everything in.
With a kitchen.
With a kitchen, yeah. Just strap it on the back and walk right in. Good to go.
Okay. So is that still the plan for sometime this summer? Get one of those?
We're hoping, yes. There's a lot of road bumps to get there.
Yeah.
But we're really hoping to work with, again, like other businesses and stuff to get their support. And hopefully by the end of the summer, we'll at least have one or two of those at least in the works.
Alrighty. Good luck.
Thank you.
Jared, thank you for coming in. That is Jared Bihun. Chef Nikki and Jared are hosting hashtag YK8, hashtag 86 YK Eats Takeover at the Snow Castle tomorrow night from 7 till 9:30 p.m. It's sold out. If you didn't get tickets, you might have to hike in the one in the summer instead.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
On the subject of the highway washrooms, lots of comments on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Chief among them, a comment suggesting maybe it's time for a toilet tax.
A toilet tax?
Trucker toilet tax. So you cross the border, and I don't know how this will work, but if you... I'm sure there are various means you could do it. I mean, there are, like, in the UK for a long time, and it's kind of falling a bit back out of fashion now. You used to have to pay to use the public washrooms.
Yeah.
And so there'd be, like, a little barrier up, and it would be, like, I don't know, it'd be, like, 50 cents equivalent or something, and you just throw in a couple of quarters, and then it would let you through.
Yeah.
But the idea was that would at least, like, I think it was, A, it would keep people from just going in and vandalizing.
Right.
And B, you would kind of feel like, well, I paid 50 cents to get in here. I should probably treat it quite nicely, which I would say is an optimistic outlook on life.
That could go either way.
It could go either way. Like, the alternative is I paid 50 cents to get in here. I'm going to, like, do what the heck I like.
I'm going to make a disaster of this.
Yeah.
That could
really get my 50 cents worth out of this place.
Yeah. It's not the worst idea, but just the principle of having to pay for what should be a fundamental human right.
Mm-hmm. I'm imagining a single turnstile outside one of those highway outhouses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just have to, like, and it just, like, lets you in. And then, you're like, yay, I paid my 50 cents. Yeah. But then maybe that would get the money we need. Because apparently, according to the territorial government, building one highway outhouse is $70,000.
Wow.
That's the figure quoted in the legislature yesterday. Somebody, let me see if I can find this quickly. Somebody was a little surprised by that, and they said, what are we building these outhouses out of if it's going to cost $70,000? Like, did they have marble floors? Here we go. Yeah, marble and the finest Corinthian leather. Yeah, like,
I mean, that'd be nice.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. I mean, if they maybe went to that kind of trouble.
Yeah.
Then maybe things would get treated a little better.
Make our outhouses smell of rich mahogany.
And the other problem is power. So they're saying, like, we'd love to have heated washrooms, but then you got to get power out there.
Yes.
Things like that.
Right.
So apparently that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm just saying, maybe a toilet tax is the way forward, and we just or maybe a donation box.
Yeah, that might be the way to approach it. Because there's just something about it being, you have the option of putting in how much you feel.
How valuable was your poo this morning? Yeah. Was that like
how much did this mean to you?
Was that like a $5 poo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then please contribute accordingly. Now, if you really need, if that was like a $20 poo, then, you should really make with the ready. Yeah, I think that would...
Yeah, well, because, I mean, it avoids the potential situation of someone being in an emergency situation and maybe not having any change on them, in that moment.
It's fine, we'll take credit cards. People rifling through their wallets. Like, yeah, that's what, American Express. You take American Express? Nope, sorry.
You just tap the debit on the door.
Tap on the door. Yep. Oh, no, sorry, there's no tap. Ugh. So, like, put it in the bottom, wait for it to say, like, okay, enter your PIN, like, frantically tapping it in, authorizing, and it's still going, because there's barely any cell service out there, right? So it takes, like, 3 minutes of it saying authorizing, ... and eventually it says, out of service. It would be...
Can we do an e-transfer?
Can we do an e-transfer?
We got to have a password that we know. Yeah, no.
Please enter the password. Frantically typing it in, legs crossed. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
you make the point that potentially the toilet tax needs a little refinement.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some more. I mean, that's just such a catch-all. Let's just throw it out there. The tax, right? Everything. No one wants to hear that word anymore. Now, carbon taxes. That's been going on for like the last year. People don't want more taxes, but I mean. You see, if it cleans up a big pile of nope, then...
Well, there you go. When everybody said last year, what, carbon tax? We're going to have taxes coming out of our ass. Well, guess what?
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca.